Hi everyone! I hope everything is working. Um, yeah, let me know in the comments if you can hear me and everything is working, if the music isn't too loud. That'd be great. Also, hello to everyone. It's been a while, so I guess we have some catching up to do. uh, It's been a couple months, I think, since I made the last content, so it's kind of fun to be back. As you can see, I am now using a VTuber model, which I'll be using in the future for my videos and live streams. Hey, my queen, been a while. Hi! Great to see you. I just asked that. Where you been? Yeah, where have I been? So, you might remember that I posted on Twitter that Audacity wasn't working and my files kept getting corrupted over and over and over again to the point where I thought, you know what, I'm gonna stop right here. And I was already making a VTuber model at the moment or at that point, so I thought, might as well just fix that or make it before I'll get back. I see that you can't see the chat box. Fixed it. But yeah, I got a little fed up with Audacity and I thought, might as well wait until the model is finished. Which, by the way, is made by Bunny Usagi. She is my younger sister. I'm going to show her Twitter in a bit so you guys can follow her. Her links are in the description as well if you like to have a module of your own. She does art as well. I made the art myself for this model, so that was quite the ride. It was a lot of work, a lot of different layers that I had to make. Uh, let's see. The VTuber model looks amazing. Oh, thanks, Bugaria! It was a lot of work to draw this. You can't even imagine. A lot of things that I had to change with draw orders, things that you can't see on the model that had been made, because if I move my head this way, you of course see the back of the collar. And normally in drawings I don't do those kinds of things. Same goes with my legs, which can move, by the way, a little. That was probably the hardest part to draw, since it's overlapping each other. So yeah, that. The one AJ says, pretty art. Thank you so much. I made it myself. Spagaria, you're a talented artist, and so is your younger sister. She is! She's amazing! I really like her art. She made a couple of artworks for me as well with Moschino in it, which looks a bit like JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, which is an amazing anime. I absolutely love it, so of course I love the artworks, which are really fun to look at. The one AJ says, so what now that you're back? Big chance is that I'll be, live streaming once in a while to do horror stories. I actually got a couple of books that are royalty free, so the plan is to start with a couple of NoSleep and creepypasta stories to, start things up short enough to do it on one stream, but long enough to, have at least an hour of narrating time. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have any requests. I got Frankenstein, Dracula, The Count of Monte Cristo, which is one of my most favorite stories. If we're talking about the classics, of course. And also Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And lastly, Alice in Wonderland. So if you want to hear one of those stories next time, I'll gladly grab the book. And we're doing that. So we can, you know, narrate a couple of chapters and continue with every stream. So yeah, that's the plan. If you guys want to see me do video games, I'll probably take that to Twitch. If I make a new password and get in my account, that is. I haven't used it in a while. Also, since you're here, I have to know, what kind of accent do you have? Thank you for asking, AJ, if I'm allowed to shorten up your name a bit. I am from the Netherlands. So what you're hearing is a Dutch accent. I do try to make it a little bit more British, or, you know, the accent that some Dutch have can be really heavy, and I'm trying to get rid of it myself. So it can be, you know, pleasant to listen to. AJ says, have you ever heard of To Build a Fire? No, but I like to have the link to the story or the book. If you have it, that is, because that'd be great. Sounds interesting. How to build a fire, not how to build a fire. Yes, my dyslexic ass adds words to phrases. Nice. To build a fire. No, I don't know it, but it sounds cool. Spookaria. Uh-oh, password issues. Yeah! Not just that, but I changed a lot of passwords lately, because during my vacation in France, here I am at the Wi-Fi spot. There's no Wi-Fi normally all around the campsite. It's just one point, and if it's really hot, yeah, too bad, so sad. And here I am getting this mail from, oh hey, these videos of yours, yeah, they got a strike. So you gotta log in to see it and whatever. Turned out to be a hacker. And as soon as my younger sister saw it, she was like, did you click the link? Yeah. Well, now you gotta change everything. You change your passwords, but you know, a second verification step on it. And now we have that. And I have to figure out my password for Twitch again too. For what I changed it into. Yeah, they're getting a lot smarter, hackers, and yeah, it wasn't smart. Definitely not. AJ School on AI? One AJ. Yes, it's just to make my channel title longer than 2 words. But hey, I think the accent is cute. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Not sure if I can link it here, but try to look it up later. Awesome, will do. To build a fire, perfect for the winter. Oh, then I might save it for that season if it's, you know... That sounds great. That sounds really great. Thank you. I have been talking for a bit now. Have I missed anything in the community as well? You know, I'm going to ask it because I've been offline a bit before I start narrating. So, I love your accent. Thanks, Bukaria. Thank you so much. Yes, it's good to be back. It's seriously good to be back. I shouldn't have waited this long, but the model had some fixes in between. And to be honest, if you want to have a model made by my sister now, she already has a waiting list. Which is crazy, because she hasn't made that many models yet. But they're really good. Mine is very bouncy and fun. AJ blushes. But yeah, let's hear some narration. Alright, let's go! I'm gonna switch up the screen. I already have it put together. I have not put the book on the right place. Again, draw order, nice. Okay, the chats should now work on top of the book. Yes. So, to begin, today's story is written by Pine Moon Poet. Go check them out. The story is really good, so I hope you guys like a story that is in the setting of Egypt. It's a very interesting one. If you guys like, you know, the more SCP type of stories with a crew that's being sent to do, you know, fix the weird things. I don't know how I can describe it, but it's really good. Yeah. So, let's begin. I work for an elite team called the Alpha Syndicate. We just found an ancient Egyptian crocodile god. Money talks. Always has. And that's what brought me to the Syndicate after all. I was fresh off the force, facing evacuation. Just sort of wandering without direction. I had applied to any job I figured a guy like me could get his hands on. Security guard for a bank, bodyguard of some unappreciated 20-year-old man-child. Hell, I'd even thought about getting my bail bondsman license. All were with conscience signs and sorry, we're not hiring. Try again later this year. That's really easy to say when you're not worried about putting food on the table or if you can't even make a rent. I made a decision to do what everyone with a lot of money would do in my situation. I went to wash my sorrows away in a local dive bar. Figured a few bottles of feel-good could take my mind off the situation for a couple of hours at least. It was there in a small town shithole, leaning on a sticky wetted bar top, that I met Mr. Back. Rough day. I looked around and the place was pretty much dead, except for one man. He wasn't just talking to thin air. That easy to tell, huh? I said, draining the last drops of my fourth beer. He chuckled, a greasy, almost weasel-like laugh. Always can tell a man down on his luck. That's how I make a living. He sauntered over, plopping on the stool next to mine and outstretched his hand. Wilson Beck, talent scout. Marcus Rent, not interested in your pyramid scheme. Again, I hear the same weasel-like laughter. You misunderstand me, Mr. Kent. I'm not in that line of business. He reached inside the lining of his suit and retrieved a nondescripted black business card, sliding it across the bar in my direction. Alpha Syndicate. Consolidation Services. He spoke, almost in a whisper. Turning over the front of the card revealed a same jet black background with embossed gold lettering. The logo was simple, a Roman symbol of Alpha intertwined with the Omega symbol arching above. The card was void of any phone number or email. Hell, there wasn't even a website, just simple coordinates. One of my eyebrows cocked up in confusion as I looked back at the man. Is this a joke? I asked. He chuckled coolly and shook his head. Not a joke at all, good sir, but an interview. A chance for a new exciting world of employment and the opportunity to make more money than you could ever spend. He made a classic gesture of rubbing his thumb against his fingers. I see. Any particular reason you're peddling to pitch me? I'm not a banker, or stock trader, or whatever it is you do. A small smirk raised his face. We have no use for bankers, brokers or businessmen. What we require is men and women who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. People who live to feel that rush of adrenaline as they dive into the great unknown. An aptitude with firearms doesn't hurt either, and judging by a haircut and build, in a town of fell farmers and fishermen, I bet that you were either a law enforcement or recently separated from the military. Either way, it's a big bonus with a hiring manager. My eyes went wide. This guy is good. Either that or just lucky. I turned the cards around in my hands and looked over at him. I was desperate. I doubted that this opportunity would present itself twice, no matter how shady it seemed. What do I need to do? I had no idea what to expect on a long drive up the trail to the facility. The driver waved in between the pines of Tennessee wilderness, heading up a steep of embankment, nearly vertical. I was awestruck by the view. Pine trees peaking above dense fog as far as the eye could see. There was nothing man-made for miles around. No telephones or power lines, no radio towers or fire watch stations. Completely bare and untouched by man. We've arrived, sir. The posh driver looked at me through the rearview mirror. I nodded and stepped out of the vehicle. Our final destination was a huge black complex complete with office windows and a revolving door. A testament to cooperate America. Corporate, yes. Sitting in the middle of nowhere. I started to wonder if I belonged to this place. But there seemed to be no turning back. Soon enough, I hit a jeep and driver speed off down the mountainside. I suppose that's where nowhere to go but in. Orientation was a blur. Lots of medical screenings, standard gear assignment, and numerous of PowerPoints about policy and standards. All this information, yet I still don't know what it was exactly doing. Those questions were soon answered after lunch, and I was led into a small briefing room. Before me sat 4 people. All were decked out in the newest tactical gear, and everyone seemed less than enthusiastic upon seeing me. Doc, what's the deal with the new guy? A blonde-haired man struck his thumb in my direction. His face was dirty and tan, except for around the eyes. A baseball cap pulled backwards hid his shaggy mane. He's covering down as the 5th member since we lost Garcia. An older gentleman said. His long grey hair, tied back into a ponytail, gave some sense of professionalism. Yet his beard could have belonged to a standard mountain man. The blonde-haired man piped up again. So, first Garcia goes and croaks, putting us down a new guy. Now we have to babysit some new blood who hasn't even been in the field? Yes, the old man retorted. And you will sit down, shut up, and deal with it. Or you can stay your ass here. I don't have a problem finding 2 replacements in one day. There was a moment of silence as the old man narrowed his eyes at the blonde. Suddenly, with a clearing of the throat, he stood up and faced me. Nice to meet you. Marcus, right? I nodded, trying not to fumble my words. Yes. Nice to meet you. I stretched my hand in an attempt to shake his, though he just looked at it and back to me. Good to have you, man. Name is Trevor, but feel free to call me Doc. I'm the resident medic and squad leader here. Welcome to the whiskey team. He pointed to an empty chair and then to the other people in the room. This here is Paige. He pointed to the slightly older woman with dark hair and brown eyes. It was hard to place her origin, but she gave off a slightly Central American vibe. Lead engineer and second in command. You need something and can't find me? You go to her. She gave me a wave. Trevor jerked his thumb to the end of the table, to a large black gentleman with thick glasses. That is Wade, heavy weapons specialist. Good to meet you, man. Wade growled out. Likewise. Trevor concluded with a heavy sigh. And this is Eric. He's the best shot in the place, Eric chimed in. A scowl came across Trevor's face. Eric is a marksman and scout. You will be filling the role as pointman in the outfit. Pointman? But what is it that we exactly do? I said, a bit exasperated. Yes. I said, a bit exasperated. It's fine. A chuckle broke out from the group. Well, that answers the question as to what they tell you in the new joints. He grabbed the remote and pointed to the small television with the wall opposite of mine. This is what we do. He clicked the remote. On screen I saw a recording of armed gunsmen assaulting a building. They breached the door, moving in tactically, sweeping the halls, scanning every inch of the area. They walked a step, their footsteps echoing down the corridor. Yet there wasn't the only noise I was able to hear. A sick suckling sound permeated the air. Sound of gluttonous chewing and swallowing over and over. The man crept closer and I heard other sounds. Sounds of people screaming, begging against everything for something to stop. Bones snapping like twigs, gushing of liquids being splattered against the wall. The man stepped forward, even quieter than before, and stacked up on the door slightly ajar as they got ready to go in. The last thing I heard in the video was what sounded like a woman. She was weeping, bawling uncontrollably, and from what I could discern, praying. God, Lord, forgive us, for we know not what to do. A boot kicked open the door, all weapons pointing in the same direction, and then I was able to see it. The figure before me on the screen was something so twisted, so horrible, that I wouldn't be able to dream it up in my worst nightmare. It was sickly green, its body covered in gangrenous, pus-filled and sags. Its legs were twisted and gnarled, longer than any creature I'd ever seen. The arms looked broken and irregular as it gripped a man, lifting him effortlessly into the air. The deep indentions leading up to the creature's neck opened, revealing a large gaping mouth with razor-sharp teeth. It devoured the man whole, chewing him. The sickening sounds of bones breaking and grinding on skin mixed with his last dying gasp as he was pushed down the creature's swollen belly. It turned to look at the man. Its black soulless husks of eyes stared at the soldiers, lifelessly. With a creaking of the concrete floors, it burst forward to them. Put it down, I heard a familiar voice say through the radio. The machine guns erupted. After a few seconds, the smoke cleared and the creature lay still. Its body riddled with bullet holes. A man stepped further in the room. They scanned the area. It looked like some sort of lab, complete with test equipment and chemistry stations. Blood and viscera covered the room as well as bodies. Some were slashed and gutted, some were half-eaten, organs strewn over the floor. "Secure the package and burn the body," her voice chirped out again, and the camera turned to see a woman. Her eyes were wide and shaken. The mascara that was once there, now running over her face. The person behind the camera grabbed her, causing her to let out a blood-curdling scream. "Package secure." A gruff British voice radioed back as the camera turned. Two men covered the creature in kerosene and struck a match, lighting his body ablaze. "Roger, prep to exfil." The man left the room as the video cut to black. I sat there in silence. So many thoughts came to my head. I would have asked if the footage was a hoax or something. Finally, the words came out as straightforward as they could be. "What the fuck was that?" I shouted. "Who were they? Was that real?" I was standing now, talking a wild minute. "That can't be real. What the hell?" I stopped as I noticed everyone was smirking. Aw, I love this spot. When they're all scared and nervous. Never gets old. Eric laughed and gave me a contemptuous look. "Buckle up, buttercup, cause this gets way worse than that." Trevor came over and put his hand on my shoulder. I could tell that he was trying to handle this conversation with a bit of tact. "That," he began, "is what happens when a pharmaceutical non-profit uses herbs found from a Mayan tomb in hopes to synthesizing a drug to help cure sterility and injects it to a test subject. Needless to say, it didn't go over too well. We, as well as the government, were notified of the outbreak 72 hours before insertion. A senior's daughter was working there at the time. He paid for her safe extraction and immolation of threat if able. That is what you saw." He narrowed his eyes. "That's what we do, Marcus. We bite at the things that go bump in the night and make a killing cleaning up the messes of the paranormal occult. So you have a choice. Walk out of the door now and forget about everything you've witnessed today. It's not like anyone would believe you. Or," he tightened his grip on my shoulder, "stay. Become wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. Or option C," Eric chimed in. "Get murked by some cosmic horror and let us take your cut." "Shut up, Eric," Trevor replied sternly. So, what will it be? A few hours later, I found myself sitting in a dimly lit briefing room. After agreeing to see the spot on the team, I was whisked away to the supply area and fitted with my new attire. In this case, cargo pants, a long-sleeved black shirt, a plate carrying able to better protect my chest, and back from any unfriendly fire, boots, and a boonie hat. I was then issued for my Beretta pistol and an M4, short and sturdy. They wanted to issue me weapons that would feel familiar to me based on my prior experience. Trevor and Paige worked perfectly in sync, tossing rifles back and forth, loading them into the checking sights. Wade grunted in the corner as he hefted a massive belt, feathered monster onto his shoulders. Eric was holding his bolt-action rifle like a father would hold a child as he gently oiled and bolt career group. We were then ushered into a small classroom with a projector pointed towards the board. Everyone took their places, each taking their own desk. 5 minutes later, a small, stubby woman walked in through the door. She wore a green pantsuit and expensive diamond earrings, which tried and failed at distracting her oddball cut hairstyle. Apparently, there was no time for introductions as she grabbed the remote and pointed at the projector, clicked it, revealing a rather tall man with short greying hair. His face looked weathered and leathery. His glasses from the side area hanging low of his broken nose. "This is Roger Anderson." The one broke the silence of the room with a low monotone drawl. A known archaeologist from London specializing in Egyptian dynasties. She clicked the remote again, pulling up a satellite image of a desert with several red circles drawn around a few entrances to what seemed like caves. Mr. Anderson was one. Mr. Anderson has been on an expedition for the past few months in the Wadi Hitian National Park, west of Fayoum, trying to discern the significance of the people worship the god known as Sobek. He sought to extract his knowledge from someone with a few recently unearthed tombs along the area. His expected arrival back in London was supposed to be January 12th, 6 days ago. The woman paused. His estate seemed rather worried as Mr. Anderson has never missed a deadline before. The first thought was to contact Egyptian law enforcement to set a search party. That was until yesterday when we received an audio transmission. She clicked the remote. "Hello?" A male British accent came over the speakers. Short, raspy breaths came over the audio. He sounded out of breath and manic. "Found coin. World-shattering. Masterpiece. Can't sleep. Stay away!" His voice, once calm, went wild. He shouted incoherent and babbled before finding his composure. "Please, help me. Find the valley. Beware the Nile." Then the audio stopped. The woman looked unfazed. Naturally, this audio found its way to us. Mr. Anderson estate is paid the sum of $750,000 in order for a safe return and delivery of whatever item he seemed to have found. Planned departure from private hangar and Nashville International Airport will take place in 3 hours. Grab your briefings on the way out. She shut off the presentation and walked out of the room. Eric was the first to speak as the lights came up. "Well, it's good to see Susan is in such a chipper mood." Trevor let out a heavy sigh. He stood and grabbed a manila folder, thumbing through the paperwork. "Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a woman smile. I don't think I ever seen the woman smile. Regardless, we got a job to do, so be happy about that, I suppose." He looked in my direction. "Don't worry, man. Simple snatch and grab. We go in, get the guy and whatever shit he shouldn't be messing with, and get him back to the Queen. We'll be back home before you know it, and you'll be 100 grand richer. He said in such a casual manner, it seemed impossible to believe. I'm sorry, did you say 100 grand? As in $100,000? Well, technically, 135,000? Paige chimed in. I looked over and saw her rolling a few cigarettes for the journey. 750,000, minus the 10% the company takes off, and then divided by the 5 of our team. She looked at me and smiled. Not the most lucrative job we've pulled, but a decent one to get you started, you know? I stood there in shock for a moment. I never considered that I could ever earn so much money in a time of my life. I folded. A folder hitting my chest broke me of my daydreams as Trevor looked at me, sternly. Focus up. You got a job. Now make sure you stay alive to enjoy the payday. Read the report, get familiar with it and what we're doing. And be ready to hit the ground once we touch down. He looked around the room. Grab your shit and get to the car park. We leave in 10. The drive to the airport was fairly uneventful. I sat in the front passenger seat, listening to the local top 100 as I thumbed through the report. Anderson seemed like a normal guy. Eccentric, maybe, but nothing out of the ordinary. He made his fortune in the early 90s, bringing back a treasure trove of an ancient religious relics. His claim to fame, however, was his theories of mummification, files upon files dissecting his claim that certain rites were conducted, not in an attempt to preserve the body for that great beyond, but to appease something that resided here on Earth. He went on arguing that once the internal organs were removed, there was evidence that a ritualistic offering took place beneath certain temples, though for whatever reason he didn't say. Good to see you studying, Trevor said. Trying to anyway. Sure hate to run into something like y'all did in that video. Oh, that? Kid, I'm not scared of things that can be brought down with enough lead. It's the shit that gets back up after emptying a mag that scares me. The car grew quiet for a while. Before I knew it, we had pulled onto the tarmac and came to a stop. Alright, Trevor said. Everyone on. The jet was pretty ritzy. Dark tinted windows and enough space for us to get some rest before landing. Complete with a small kitchen and a fridge for all we could need. I'd honestly nearly forgotten what I was doing here. I leaned in my chair, back into a makeshift bed, and watched as we took off. The excitement must have worn me out, because I nodded off and didn't wake up until I felt the rumble of the aircraft as we touched down. The cabin lights came on as Trevor walked to the aisle, rousing each of us. He was already in full tactical gear with his rifle slung across his chest. Rise and shine, team! Early bird gets the word, and whatnot. Grab your gear, clean up your trash, and get the hell off. Locals will be meeting with us in the trucks in 30 minutes. I want to get into the desert before I start getting sunburned. Groans of protest echoed throughout the cabin, particularly with Eric, who managed to grumble out 5 more minutes before being jerked up by Trevor, who handed him his bags. I quickly cleansed my area, grabbed my rifle and set off to see the landscape. Holy shit. That was all I could think once my eyes adjusted to the pink dawn sky. It looked like something out of a postcard. Sunken ancient buildings, the wind cutting through the deep brown sand, and massive dunes in the distance. This was an ancient place, holy and peaceful. First time in Egypt? Paige nodded my arm, yelling in order to speak over the turbines. First time out of Tennessee? I gave a half smile. Always wanted to leave, just didn't. She smiled wildly and let out a small laugh. Get used to it, rookie. Honestly, we rarely pull jobs in the States. She hiked her back up his shoulder and made her way down the stairs. That's odd. Figured with all the Indian graves and shit like Salem, we'd have something there. She sucked in through most of her teeth and shrugged. God, no, that's Bruja stuff, spirits and witchcraft. We handle the more tangible side of the occult. Doesn't really do us any good if we can shoot something, does it? I nodded. Oh, here we go. Watching her take her pack and throw it to the ground. I followed her lead, facing towards the soon-to-be rising sun. Question. Where are we? I figured we'd be in Cairo or something, like an actual airport. Why are we in the middle of nowhere? I looked over at her, catching her as she quickly closed and locked and pushed it underneath her vest. Syndicate aircraft piloted by some of the best in the world, she continued. The jets themselves are also designed for vertical takeoff and landing. So it's usually routine to land closer to site, then hoof it up by foot or by car from there. Saves us a few hours on mission time. Such a shame they have to Such a shame they have height and weight limits. Wade's deep voice grumbled out. Suddenly next to me. He sounded like a Rottweiler, if he could talk. Deep and dangerous. Wasted my time getting a pilot license only to be told I was too big for the seats. He slung his back down as Paige, and in one fluid motion pulled his machine gun from his shoulders, planting the stock on the ground, cracking the desert floor. I cocked an eyebrow at this moment. I must have looked skeptical as he returned the same expression. What? You were a pilot? I don't know, you don't really seem like the type. He answered with a shrug. I also went to a seminary school. Wouldn't believe that either, would ya? Half his face curled into a grin while he pulled a book from his pocket. Yep, Wade's full of surprises, newbie. Eric came around his side, fighting off a yawn. Stick around long enough, and he maybe even tell you where he's from. This brought a round of laughter at the rest of the team, even Wade. I don't get it, what's so funny? Wade shook his head. Nothing, man, just sort of an inside joke. You'll find out soon enough. Hopefully. Anyway, Eric chimed in, putting a hand-rolled cigarette between his lips. I caught Paige's eyes rolling. You're gonna be fine, rookie. Just remember the golden rule. Always trust. Cut the chatter. Trevor's voice came from behind us. It wasn't quite a yell, but it commanded the same respect. We all turned back to look at him as he pointed east. They're here. The locals that dropped the trucks off were friendly enough. They seemed a bit on edge, just really twitchy and constantly looking around. Honestly, their body language was the only thing about them that stood out. They wore white ponchos draping down the waist, with matching white pants tied off at the chins. Some black leather sandals lashed up their legs. The only thing that looked odd were the black bandanas they wore, with a golden symbol of the Syndicate stenciling out the fabric under the left eye. Well, that and the 45s holstering the hips. They never spoke, not once. Just nodded at Trevor, who returned the gesture. 2 trucks, 2 sets of keys. Trevor and Eric took lead while I rode with Paige, Wade at the wheel. Soon the door shut. Wade reached over to the drive seat and popped open the glove compartment. Inside lay 3 black pieces of plastic, each shaped like a small crescent moon. He handed one to me before tossing the second to Paige and pushing the black plastic over his ear, hooking it in place. Calm channel. Let us keep in contact. Put it in. I looked down at the plastic, pretty unassuming, hooking it however I heard the crackle of the audio vibrating against my ear. Trevor's voice came over shortly after. Alright, this is Whiskey 1. Give me a comm check. Let me know everything's working. Whiskey 2 online, Paige responded matter-of-factly. Whiskey 3 good to go, Wade growled. Why do I need to say anything? I'm right here. The sound of a smack came through, followed by Eric's cry of pain. Ow! Fuck, man! Whiskey 4, filing an HR complaint. Whiskey 5, online, I said, stifling my laughter. Roger. We're about 80 clicks from our location. We'll be there within an hour. With that, I heard the audio crackle one last time before phasing out as we drove into the dunes. While Wade was busy getting one of the trucks up to a steep embankment of sand, and Paige rested her head against the window, it took me a time to once again check over my equipment. The Syndicate definitely made sure that we were top of the line with anything we needed. Nothing was repurchased, reused, or secondhand. My rifle still had that fresh out of the box smell to it. It was hard not to feel excited to use the thousands of dollars of gear strapped around my body or clutched in my hands. Almost enough to make me forget that I could be shit out of some Frankenstein monster by the end of the night. Fuck it, I thought. I'll lay my head back against the rest, watching the dunes rise and fall as the trucks cut through the sand. That's a problem for future me. The sharp jolt of skidding brakes made my eyes snap open. It took me a moment to get my bearings. The ride over was only supposed to be an hour. When did it get so dark? It was only then when I looked out the window and realized the sun was still shining, high and hot. The difference was that my window looked out into the mouth of a massive cavern. It would have easily swallowed a good-sized mall. Flanked on the other side were 2 massive sandstone pillars, the inside lit by bevy of torches. I was beginning to understand the scope of this hellhole we're about to walk into. Shit, I admitted as I stepped out of the truck, my foot crunching softly against the compact desert floor. Who are you telling? Wade came around, eyes still glued to the cave. Doc, you got a map for the inside, I hope? He shouted. Trevor was leaning against the truck, finishing off a cigarette. He nodded, flickering the embers and walking off. He radioed ahead to request an escort inside. They're on their way now. They seem pretty skittish though. I didn't think guarding a jumpy little Brit would be all that difficult. But apparently they can't wait to get the hell out of here. Something about bad dreams, I think. My Arabic is pretty rusty, so they may just need to take a piss. We all laughed and kept looking around, studying the entrance. I had to turn to get a good look at its entry. Something about it seemed off. I can't really explain it, but it felt like it wasn't supposed to be here. The more I looked, the more I felt wrong with it. It gave me chills. Like there wasn't a cave that we were going into, but the mouth of a monster. I stiffened up and I felt a hand clasp my shoulder. Easy, killer. It's just me, Trevor said. He pulled out another smoke, lighting it with one swiftly motion. I took a drag. Just checking to make sure that you ain't having any second thoughts. I smirked and gestured for my own cigarette. He obliged and offered a lighter. I took a drag, letting a fresh smoke hit my lungs. Not yet, but I'll let you know when I do. He nodded and faced the mouth of the cave. Man, I'll tell ya, you definitely lucked out of your first OP. Oh yeah? What's that? I remember my first job. Running through the Alpacalians, hunting skinwalkers, tripping through trees and falling in stagnant lakes in the middle of the night. Can do better than bright and sunny. I thought we didn't pull jobs in the state, I said, cocking an eyebrow. We used to. Seemed that most of the baddies don't like being hunted in their own backyard. So they migrated somewhere else. So we really haven't seen much in the past 15 years. I almost dropped the cigarette in shock. You do all these jobs and you're still working after more than a decade? 2 decades. Trevor exhaled smoke through his nose, looking over at me with the corner of his eyes. Got a problem with that? No, really, just why not retire? I quit when they do, he answered. He jutted his chin forward to the point at the man hustling out the cave. Time to go to work. Despite Trevor earlier claims to be rusty in God's native language, he was able to converse with him fairly well. The guard was a short man, same apparel as the ones who dropped off the trucks. Though this guy was nowhere near as composed as the other two. He ran up to us, clutching at Trevor and excitedly telling him something. Physically, he looked through to see the least. His face was greasy and covered with sweat, his beard broken off onto twists. His eyes, though, they looked like the ones you'd seen a picture of someone coming back from World War II. Like he aged years in such a short time. He squinted through his already swollen eyes, so I could barely see the glassy whites. Whatever had happened to him, he was worse off for it. Alright, Trevor said, turning to us. Ethan here is going to lead us back to Mr. Anderson. Once there, we will be extracting himself and his co-worker. Anderson will be in our care till we touch down in the UK. Then we hand off the lunatic. Say thank you for the cash and fuck off back stateside. Good to go? He paused, scanning our faces. We nodded in agreement. Good. Watch your step inside. Even though we have a lit path, I'm sure there's bound to be places to get lost on our way back in. Eric, you'll be on the back providing security. and picking up any stranglers you find. Wade will be back there for the support. Paige with me. Marcus. He looked over at me. You'll be on the point with Ethan. Time to shine, kid. Trying not to get us lost. Whatever we thought of the cavern from outside was eclipsed by how deep it was on the inside. We must have walked for the better part of an hour, squeezing ourselves through a narrow, damp fissures, crawling through holes that no one could even remotely call stable, and holding on for dear life as we tiptoed along narrow edges, praying we wouldn't fall into the darkness below. It was only when my feet hit solid ground and we moved into the next chamber. However, I wished we could go back. We stood on a plateau, overlooking that could only be described as a massive underground sea. It was quiet, but I could still hear that settling sound a lake makes when there's nothing around to drown it out. I couldn't even see the walls that surrounded the cliff, were unexpected for the ones behind me. I had to grab onto it to steady myself from getting vertigo. Then I felt something, this overwhelming urge to look behind me, and turned my attention to the wall. It was carved with an ancient symbols of hieroglyphs. They started off insignificant. A single line here, a symbol two there, yet as we approached the wall farther, where the torches were gathered, the symbol seemed to open and flood the landscape. Hell, it was even written along the ceiling. All indecipherable and strange. Yet they seemed to originate from one source, an open stone mouth of a giant black crocodile. The statue towered over us, standing closely to 30 feet tall. You could impale someone on the giant meat hooks of his teeth. Below its gaping mouth sat a massive stone tablet, anciently ornate and arcane. This wasn't something you'd ever find in a history book. The place wasn't hidden by any other people of the time. It had been banished, left to rot away so that no one could have ever bear the sight of it. I felt a familiar touch of Trevor's hand on my shoulder, causing me to jump. Game face on, he whispered into my ear. Don't let anyone, least of all the customer, know you freaked out the way you are. You are heavy artillery here. Mercs aren't afraid of the dark, kid. Take a breath, grip your teeth, and get your bearings. Wait for the guys to meet us up there. You're doing fine. I nodded as he looked at me, his eyes steely. He returned the gesture and then looked at Paige. They walked on, scanning the area with every step. It wasn't too much longer, maybe 20 minutes, when Wade, huckling mass, stomping into the dim torchlight. Eric pulled up the rear, with his weary frame looking even skinnier compared to the bigger man. How's it hanging, newbie? Pissed yourself yet? Eric smirked as he slung his rifle onto his shoulder. Happy to disappoint. What took y'all so long? Sandstorm, Wade said, looking around, taking everything in fully. Had to cover the trucks. I'm not sure how long it will last, but it looks bad. That's home. Sorry. Murphy's Law, right? Eric's smile seemed a bit more genuine as he gave my chest a firm slap. Come on, let's join the others. Okay, we'll take a really small in-between break. I'll have to, drink some water and I can read your comments. Good thing to stay hydrated. Oh, I still have to send a picture of this cup to one of my friends. I went to France for 3 weeks, and one of the shops there apparently had quite a few anime merchandise. So I'll now have a, thing to drink from. Yes, great if you forget words. From JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I could take a picture of it and put it in the Discord though. If you aren't in the Discord channel yet, there's a link in the description so you can join and we can all have fun. I should probably be more online there. I'm trying to, at least. Let's see. Can we see some models? I don't know what kind of models you want to see, AJ, but nice. Let me know what you mean with that, but I know you're probably out of my league, but no harm in a light flirting to such a lovely lady. Oh. That's very sweet. Yeah, no harm done. I mean, it's kind of cute. Oh, hi September Dragon. Good to see you in the stream. Hello to you as well. Spookaria, you're awesome at live readings. Thank you so much, Spookaria. Though I do have to say I've already read through the story and tried to narrate it once. This, by the way, being the story that got corrupted a couple of times. So I feel very familiar with it right now. So I hope next time it will be as smooth as now. I'm actually kind of happy it's going so well because I normally F up a lot because I have dyslexia and read things incorrectly, add new words, mix them together, or read something else. I probably did make a couple of mistakes, but I'm happy to see that you all like it, and yeah. I'm lurking and writing while you read. Oh, good luck writing! I hope you're going to narrate it on your channel as well. I'm very curious. September. I'm loving this story. You're doing a great job at reading it. Thank you, thank you. I really wanted to narrate a story that takes place in Egypt because it's the kind of one of my hyperfixations. I really like it. You would have to see how much stuff I have in my room that's about Egyptian mythology. I have a couple of, mini figures, one template that you can hook up on the wall. It's a little heavy, so I'm not going to, just going to set it up onto the wall, on a desk, like that. And there's also my terrarium that I still haven't filled up yet, that has Egyptian back. The wall of the terrarium at the back is handmade from what I've heard, and it's really nice. As long as I'm not living on my own, which there is a plan, I'm just gonna keep it to store things into, and eventually, hopefully, get myself a bearded dragon or a couple of geckos when I do. Lone Wolf, hey! Good to see you here as well. Welcome to the stream. You're kind of halfway in. I don't know when you entered, but hi. Also, yummy water. Yes, AJ. Stay hydrated, the best thing you can do. I will be. Yay! That's great, Spooks. I'd love to hear it. Yeah. Great to see you all here. The new people have entered. I wasn't expecting all that much, of people coming in here. So this makes me really, really happy for you all to come to my, debut stream as a VTuber horror narrator. Mouthful, but it's fun. Okay, we're going with part 2. We're continuing the narration. So, hope you can all sit down for it. We're going to continue with the Egyptian crocodile god. I hope you guys have seen Moon Knight, because then these names of the gods sound familiar. I have, it was amazing. Okay, let's go. I work with the elite team called Alpha Syndicate. We just fought an Egyptian crocodile god. To say that Roger Anderson was a bit more off kilter, since we had a recording back at the complex, who could have been an understatement. His once stoic and proud-looking Brit in the photographs was now an unhinged nutcase, caked in grime, glasses cracked, greasy hair flowing down to his shoulders, and more concerned with how rocks tasted than the 5 new people that stood around him. Well, look at the bright side, Eric said, looking around the man. The floor was littered in old books, candy bar wrappers, and what I hoped was mud. They only said bring him back alive. Alive! The old man jumped up. He grabbed Eric by his vest, shaking him vigorously. He was pretty strong for an old crazy guy. One life. Many lives. Your life. All just simple puppets in a show put on by the gods. This beast forever scorned as the villain. He blinked rapidly, like he wasn't trying to think of the next verse to his sermon. Who are you again? Your rescue party? Eric said, shoving him back on his ass. This had better not to be what I think it is, he shouted, wiping a brown smudge off his shirt. Oh, yes, quite. My rescuers! You are to rescue me from whom exactly? Trevor. Oh, Mr. Anderson. Trevor stepped forward, taking a knee next to him. We're from the Alpha Syndicate. You may call me Trevor. My team and I contracted... Oh, ik hoop dat alles goed gaat daar. Where was I? My team and I were contacted by your estate to bring you back safe and sound. Safe at least, Eric muttered. Trevor shot back up. Shut the fuck up, Claire. As I was saying, we were also told to bring a relic of some kind. Some sort of coin. Yes, the coin. Holy lens of the Nile god. The jewel of Fayum. Tarsus. The lot of my employ, but they are correct. Indeed, Trevor said, standing back as the archaeologist jumped spryly to his feet. May I ask you, what's so special about the piece? Ask? Roger crossed over to Trevor in 2 quick steps. I heard the sound of a safety being switched and looked to see Paige, rising her rifle from darkness. The muzzle of the weapon pointed at Anderson. My good man, don't be insulted if you didn't, he laughed, hardly to put a hand on Trevor's shoulder. Please, come. This way. I breathed an audible sigh of relief as he safely clicked again and the muzzle disappeared back into the darkness. This, Anderson said as we crawled around a torch underneath the massive stone monster, is the coin of Sobek. He opened his hand to reveal a tiny circular glass disc full of deep purple liquid. That's not a coin though. I muttered to Paige, who nudged me to shut up. Sobek was a god, you see, said to be born from these fairy lands. He was the god of creation, the god of waters, and the defender of balance, allying himself with both the forces of order as well as the chaos, or so the story goes. He clasped his hand back around the piece. He was worshipped for centuries, even with the mummification crocodiles with the pharaohs in hopes of projecting him in the afterlife. That's all well and good, sir, Trevor said, eyeing him carefully. But what does this have to do with this place? Ah, but that's just what I said, yes? We all looked at each other, confused. At least I did say that, right? I'm not thinking that I'm saying, or saying what I'm thinking again. It's a lot easier to do the latter, don't you think? Sir, Trevor said a little louder. Where are we? The man stood up for a little second longer. He touched his fingertips together, murmuring to himself. Roger. I don't know, Anderson yelled back. Both their voices reverberated off the walls of the stone tomb. He gave a sigh and placed his hand on his head, rubbing his temples with a finger and thumb. I don't know. He walked back onto the table, stacking his books. Not one word. Not one word of this temple anywhere in history. This place isn't even on the map. I was simply stumbled upon a hiker taking a trek through the park. We slowly made our way over silently as he continued to explain. The only thing that I can figure out is the tail of the coin. Now to find it... He sounded a bit frantic as he flipped through some dusty tombs, finally settling on a page, raising an ancient Egyptian. The text was translated on a post-it note on the next page. Wade reached and took the book, reading aloud to the rest of us. And rejoice, he who drinks the dark waters. Your cup shall fill, and will be filled for all time. Take the task your prayers to the son of Neve. Allow his will flow through your blood, like the Nile of the old kingdom. Rejoice, dear brothers, in the union of your mortal flesh to that of the Lord of the waters. Rejoice in this dark area. Allow his path from the underworld to join your paths to dreams. Rejoice, dear brothers, and we heed our call of brotherhood. Heed the call of the Dark River God. So, the coin is filled with a never-ending supply of drinking water? Paige asked skeptically. Either that or the lizard's steroids, Eric threw in. Both are great ideas, Anderson said, in a much calmer tone. As far as I can surmise, this place was a secret temple to Sobek. As to where here, well, as you heard, they believe this to be the entrance of his world, the underworld to be exact. That would explain the whole dark god bit, I said. I gripped my rifle a little firmer. Regardless of what it is, Trevor said, breaking me from my thoughts. I don't want to spend any time longer in this place than I have to. Get your shit, sir, and keep a tight hold of the relic. We're leaving. Yeah, about that, boss? Eric said. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we can't go anywhere till the storm outside lets up. Nearly swept me and the big man away. Of course there's a storm. Alright, new plan. Let's make our way back to the entrance. Survey the scene and make our decision on what to do next. If you require guidance, I can make a great guide to the cave mount. Let me find my spectacles, please. Sir, they're on your face. Page sad and exasperation. Oh, yes, I see. Anderson pulled off his glasses and rubbed the smudges off. Kid, you're on point. Get us out of there. Trevor rubbed his temples. With a nod, I took the task. The way back was a bit more manageable the second time. Didn't mind the journey so much as long as it got me the hell out of there. I heard the storm before I saw it. The rushing wind coming off the dunes. Sounded like it was behind the plane, getting ready for takeoff. I felt the sand grate on my teeth and sting my nose as much as I felt that familiar crunch beneath my feet. On top of that, the torchlight was almost completely swallowed by a dull dark brown shade. Just my fucking luck. Oh, well, shit. Looks like we're gonna be a bit longer than expected, Trevor exclaimed, seeing the thick wall of swirling sand that surrounded the exit. Told you, boss, Eric said, defeated. Nothing we can do but let it pass. I guess so. Wait, break out camping gear. We're gonna ride it as soon as comfortable as we can. On it, Wade's voice echoed from back as he set his pack down. We began rummaging through it. He pulled out the contents: 2 tents, a hot plate and a small mess kit with a cooking pot, and 10 cans of soup. Check your bag, kid. Headquarters should have issued a field kit in case of emergency situations like these. Inside, I found a mess kit similar to Wade's, packed with a canned stew, a small first aid kit, some spare ammunition, a sleeping bag, and a few flares. Pretty soon, as we had a nice little setup, we made use of the rocks for makeshift chairs while Trevor made a soup for us. All of the creature comforts, safe for heat, water, and not being trapped in a creepy abandoned temple. Well, working shifts, Trevor said after finishing the bowl. 4-hour post till the morning. Storm shouldn't last more than a few hours, but at the very least it'll give y'all some rest. Plus, with the sun blacked out by sand, you can get some shut-eye in case we need to move in the night. I know I haven't seen anything abnormal yet. Well, abnormal for us, at least. Nevertheless, I need you all on top of shit. The fact we haven't seen anything is more unsettling than the norm. Are you forgetting that the giant stone lizard and the endless ocean covering the blackness of evil? Eric said, reaching for my second helping. Not evil per se. When you think about it, what is a modern religion if not successful cults? True, but I don't think I'm going to a creepy-ass cave for Baptistic revival, Eric retorted, giving Trevor a non-discern eye look. We all tried to stifle our laughter before Trevor cleared his throat. Congrats, Eric. You pulled the first watch. Paige will take the second, followed by myself. The kid and Wade will be our early bird. Works for me, I said, scarfing down the rest of my food. I better hit the shack. Trevor nodded. We all should. Try to rest as much as you can. We'll be out of here safer than you can say Cairo. Cairo, Eric called out. Say it slower. Paige yelled back. Oh, that was not yelling. Mr. Anderson, feel free to try the rest by us if it makes you feel better. We'll take you if we need to. Otherwise, we'll see you in the morning. As you say, my dear, hopefully together in the dreams won't be an issue. Right. You and your group were having some trouble sleeping. I almost forgot. The same dream every time. I found myself swimming, a pool of black water, with no land in sight. Suddenly, mighty jaws sprang up and devoured me, tearing a randle my flesh from my body, dragging me down under the depths. The least thing I saw before waking were two red eyes and a sight of hourglasses glaring at me. Well, Paige said, sounding a bit unsettled. This sounds like a lovely image to see before bed. Indeed. Perhaps the farther away I am, the lesser the severity will be. Let's hope so, sir, Trevor said. He crawled onto a bare spot on the floor, pulling his back behind his head to use as a pillow. I'd hate to have you go from slumbering to unconscious, but if you have an episode and put my team in danger, I won't think twice about helping you go back to sleep. Yes, of course, Anderson said. Again he made a gesture of touching his fingertips and looking down the ground as he placed his back to the stone wall next to me. The man looked like a kid who had broken a window, as was waiting for punishment. I felt a little bad for the guy. It wasn't too long before he and the rest of the team were out. I'm not sure when it was when I finally drifted off. The hard floor, an ever-blowing wind. It seems like I never would. Somehow, I managed. I must have been sleeping lighter than I thought, saying that when I woke up, it was surprisingly for no reason. I sat up, rubbing my eyes to adjust to the darkness. The storm must have finally stopped, since I could see myself thinking again. No more rushing wind or sand particles slapping my face. Something else had replaced it though. A low, buzzing ring crept up my spine and settled behind my eardrums. Like when you stop listening to something loud. It was an itch I couldn't scratch no matter how much I tugged at my ears. I think it got louder, to be honest. My eyes finally adjusted, moving to the torchlight that illuminated our camp. Trevor was sitting on a rock with his back behind me. He was rigid and on edge. Kid, do not make a sound. Do not panic and listen to me carefully. With those words, my body went on high alert. My hand stiffened around the grip of my rifle. The ringing seemed to turn up a notch. All the obedient sounds faded away, so that I could barely hear Trevor's voice. Something's not right. I want you to slowly, very slowly, inch towards the cave mouth. Look outside and tell me what you see. Whether it was the comfort of knowing Trevor was there or sheer muscle memory, my legs worked. I carefully tiptoed out of the mouth. Making her way, I realized something was there. Every torch was out. Not just the ones that were at the mouth during the storm, but everywhere. Even heading back inside. The only illumination that came from Trevor's lighter and the light outside. Wait a second. Where's the fucking moon? Where the stars? There was nothing there. I don't mean it as an overcast and the moon was blocked. I mean there was nothing. Just a deep purple backdrop that seemed... well, it seemed to move. It vibrated and twisted, casting a damp glow on the sand in front of us. The sand, the ever-growing range of dooms that seemed to go on endlessly. The sand, the rocks and dust, but no trucks, no traps, no trash. Hell, there weren't even footprints or tracks in any direction. And the sand, it wasn't brown. It was pitch black, like God-graded coal from the heavens. A massive ocean of black as far as the eye could see. I don't think we're in Egypt anymore, kid, Trevor said a few feet behind me. It was hard to hear him. It was hard to hear anything. The ringing increased through enough to make my knees shake. I kept my balance and tried to concentrate. Where? I don't know. I can't even remember when the storm stopped. It was there when I took it from Paige and then it just stopped. Like that. He snapped his fingers. I lost my sense. I thought I might lose my dinner. I didn't know what to say. I could feel myself starting to hyperventilate. Easy, kid. We're not where we are, but we are alive. I woke up the team. Let's get a plan. His voice cut out. The ringing wouldn't let me hear. It seeped into my brain and I could feel my skull vibrate. I dropped to my knees, clutched my head in my hands, and I screamed. Even though I couldn't hear it, I felt my mouth contort, my jaw popping and my vocal cords shaking. Eventually, I hit something else. It wasn't the obedience. It wasn't Trevor or the others shaking me. The mouths yelling but silent. It was something deep and primordial, guttural and angry. A voice that traveled from the earth up to my body when I felt a grip on my soul and work my mouth like it was a puppet. I heard it in my mind as the others heard it from me. Return it! My body trembled. The air left me. I felt violated and worked over, but the least of ringing had stopped. I looked at them. Their looks on their faces flashed between fear to concern, settling on Trevor's solemn grimace. Kid? Marcus? Can you hear me? I looked at him and nodded. Stand up, he said, reaching a hand out and pulling me up. I felt a hand on my back and looked to see Paige, still eyeing me with concern. She had the eyes of her mother. Someone who didn't want to see you hurt, who wanted to bear the weight of your pain. I hadn't seen the side of her before. Trevor's voice snapped us both back to the situation. Look, guys, I don't know what is going on. I don't know who took the lights out or who decided to play ventriloquist. Who decided to play ventriloquist with the kid. All I know is that we're safe. All I know is we're here, and whether it's a ghost or a god throwing a bitch fit, we have to figure a way out to get the fuck out of Dodge. Now look alive. We don't know what's out there. A gunshot rang out, a sound that comes from a high-powered rifle. Eric was kneeling down and firing out into the sand. I think I have a pretty good idea, boss, he shouted. We all turned to see what he was talking about. The sand was moving. The black crystals flew away like the wake from a boat. Something was swimming underneath, something massive, and was heading right for us. Make a kill zone. Eric, prepping the waves. Lead your shots. Marcus, Paige, find cover and alternate bursts. Wait, break open the tripod and put your pig to clinic. Let's go! We all flew into action. Eric's rifle barked against as he aimed in. The barrel of Wade's machine gun glowed as he held the trigger down. His tracer rounds lighting up the night. It was so disorientating. Everything happened so fast, but Paige grabbed me and slammed me against a nearby wall. She let burst rounds fly, while Trevor mirrored us on the far side, but the thing kept coming. It was nearing into us, strafing side to side, almost surfacing the dunes. It was fast. Paige and I alternated every other burst, but the amount of firepower they were throwing at it didn't slow it down. What were we going to do if it decided to pop out? Paige, now! Trevor shouted. Paige stepped forward and opened the bottom of a rifle, loading a grenade. With a pull of the trigger, the grenade flew out, lighting the sand in front of us on fire. Please kill it, I thought. I prayed to a god, to anyone with power to listen. Please kill this fucking thing. My heart sank lower than I thought it could as the creature plowed right through, extinguishing the flames in its wake. It was almost there, and it was getting faster. The sounds of a rifle stopped, ringing out among the volley of lead. Eric stood and backpedaled quickly, trying to get his mag out. Trevor! I'm dry! I gotta... That's all he got out. An enlarged black mouth filled the gargantuan teeth, opened up from underneath him and ripped him in two. The beast dove out of the sand and its back legs. It was tall as a bus and twice its wide. Its body was coated in deep black that gave off an unnatural glow, its red eyes widening in glee. A giant black crocodile. Its gaping maw snapped down on Eric again, spraying chunks of bone and vice versa across the cave floor. That's not the right word. Viscera. His arm still dangled from the beast's tooth. I heard Wade yell, turning his weapon on the croc and firing again. In one swift motion, the creature dipped down and reached the man in a blink of an eye. The firing stopped as it picked Wade up with her massive hands and grabbed waist by both sides. Then it pulled. Wade popped like a cork. His intestines spilled from him to the floor as he screamed. The scream was immeasurable pain, mixed with fear and the truth of certain death. His cries were drowned out as the creature spoke, projecting his voice to all of us. Return that which you stole, With a meaty thwack, the beast hurled Wade's body against the wall, painting it with blood. More! There's more! Paige screamed out. The entire desert, this ocean of blackness. The sands of hell were churning. More wakes came, more creatures coming to us. Then I heard the scream of the person I couldn't bear to hear. I looked over to see the creature had grabbed onto Trevor and was hanging him upside down, lowering him to his throat. Trevor was yelling. He aimed his magazine into the creature, yet nothing seemed to work. It was unfazed, like he was shooting him with a spitball. Trev! Paige screamed out as she rushed to save him. It was too late. The creature's jaw came down again, crushing Trevor's head like a grape. She stopped screaming. She stopped running. She turned. She looked at me with the same mother-like eyes, now filled with tears. Then a second beast slammed into her, her body into a pink mist. They were dead. Everyone was dead. Trevor, Eric, Wade, Paige. I backed up against the wall. I could do nothing but stand there and watch as my team was turned into a grinder. Another beast landed in front of me, standing back as it towered above me. I don't want to die like this. Not like them. I grabbed my pistol. I raised it and pointed into my head. I heard the voice again. Return the waters of the river god. I fired. I sprang awake with a scream. Awake! Not dead. Not in heaven. Still in this shithole on earth. This brown, well-lit shithole with a sandstorm rolling outside. Had this been all a dream? I looked around and my suspicions were confirmed, as everyone was still out. But they were in one piece and breathing? They also looked to be having the worst nightmare of their lives. Everyone was twitching and spasming, their eyes moving rapidly under the eyelids. I saw Eric knock out against the wall. We must have never made it to the first watch. Fuck it. I didn't care. I knew what I needed to do. I steeled myself as I opened my bag and grabbed my flares. Anderson was only a few feet away. Ironically, he was the only one who seemed to sleep soundly, snoring like a sawmill, with a coin laying painlessly on his chest. Its once dark waters now growing a deep, bloody red color. I grabbed the coin, took it and ran back inside. The torches were here still lit, so I didn't have to use the flares yet. I quickly found myself on the ramp leading into the sanctum, where the other torches had stayed. The room itself had snuffed any light that was there when we left. I lit one of the flares and made a break for the table. The second I entered, I felt watched. A million eyes all watching me, all staring in delight as I sprinted and stood on the table. I must have nearly tripped twice in trying to get there, my hands clasping at the coin as I wrenched it from my pocket and placed it back on the croc's stone mouth. But I wasn't stone. It didn't felt like stone. It felt warm and wet. I felt a tongue that curled and gently lifted the coin from my fingertips. I heard that voice chill my veins again. Not in my head, but in my ear. Right next to me. Good boy. My flare went out. I stumbled and crawled away, trying to orientate myself in the dark. That was when I heard the laughter. The deep, guttural, sickly laugh of a hellish crowd, erupting from the sea below, seeping out through the walls and burying into my brain. I didn't think as I grabbed another flash, stood up and ran to the exit, trying not to shit myself. I tried not to pay attention to the shadows on the walls. Every time I looked at them, they smiled a toothy Cheshire grin. "Wake up!" I yelled at the top of my lungs. I didn't hear the howling wind anymore. Didn't taste the sand. Reaching the entrance, I saw the storm was gone. And the skies were clear. A normal sky. I screamed again as Trevor's body shot up, pointing a pistol around. "What's Kid? What's going on?" he said through half-closed eyes. "Look, I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but..." "Where is it?" Anderson cries. Cut me off. "Where is the coin?" He was searching everywhere, pulling packs open and tearing at his pockets. Trevor looked at me with a realization. Trevor looked at me with a raised brow. "Kid, what did you do?" "I saved our asses. Now can we please leave?" "Not without the coin, you ignorant." Anderson was in my face now, his cheeks flushed with rage as he poked my chest. "I have spent half of my life chasing and finding like this. No mercenary is going to... Fuck." He couldn't finish. My fist concerned with his jaw and hit a snooze button. "Marcus! What the hell is going on?" I heard Paige from behind me. "Yeah, rookie, what the fuck?" Eric said with a yawn. I grabbed my hair and pulled, letting out a yell of frustration. Halfway through, I felt Trevor grab my wrist. Not hard, but enough to let me look at him. His eyes met mine and he understood. With a nod, he turned. "Back up, team. Let's get the hell out of here. Storm's over. Should be smooth riding back home." All protests stopped at once. Everyone looked at me and at each other, then quickly began to pack up. Within minutes we were speeding away from the cave, on our way back to civilization. So that's it. James Silver, the head of Syndicate HR, sat in front of me, scribbling his notes down on a piece of yellow office paper. He was a tall, middle-aged guy. His once black hair, now streaked with some silver, was slicked back with a shitload of pomade, and I'm sure every other product on the sun. The bright blue suit and the shiny gold Rolex completed his used car salesman's get-up. "Yes, sir, that's it. We made it to the transport, exiled to London, then landed here 3 days ago. We'd been given a couple of days to rest up after getting back. I got on a call a few hours ago that I needed to come for a performance evaluation. Before I knew it, a black SUV with tinted windows pulled up in front of my apartment building, and I was strongly encouraged to go for a ride. Thank you, Mr. Kent. Sir, can I ask you why I'm here? Of course you can, Mr. Kent. Silver flashed a toothy grin and set his paper on the table, leaning forward to give me his full attention. 50% of a job well done is 100% failure in management opinion. We don't have time for half-assed contracts in a line of work. Now, seeing as you are new to the company, certain faults are understandable. So, don't worry, you still have employment with us. He paused briefly, like he wanted to make sure I understood what he was saying. 50%, I scoffed. We get Anderson out safe. Yes, you did, Mr. Kent. But you also admitted to returning the coin, the other half of the job. But he waved his hand with a smile. Nice cooperation, way to saying, shut the fuck up. While management is frustrated, we understand that certain mishaps will happen during a training period, that coupled with your performance review from your supervisor, who saw you in a more, shall we say, favorable light. My supervisor? That would be me, kid. Trevor's voice came behind me as the door opened, bringing some natural light into the dingy, fluorescent shithole. You done with him, Silver? Got a briefing in 5. Silver looked out of his notes again. Everything here is in order. I'll update contract number 26043 accordingly. He turned to me. You're free to go, Mr. Kent. We left in a hurry, Power walking through the corridors and cubicles. I looked over to see Trevor light a cigarette as we passed the last row of office drones to the door at the back of the complex. Thanks, man. For what, kid? He blew a plume of smoke around and turned to look at me. Well, for saving my ass with that report. He gave it a laugh and shook his head. Kid, you saved all our asses back in Egypt. Those dreams, what I saw, what we all saw, I wouldn't have woken up. Least I can do. You trusted my judgment. I couldn't help but crack a smile. Didn't Paige tell you? Golden rule, Trip. Always trust your team. These guys, he pointed to the complex, they find people like us, people that don't have anyone. Loners, drifters, runaways. You get the picture. They put a gun in our hands and use us to turn a profit. What family do we have out in the world, if not the ones beside us when the shit hits the fan? I know you trust me. I know anyone in the team does. I also need to trust you as well. I nodded as a smile widened. Now, he said, before taking a long pull and puffing a cigarette down the filter. Get your game face on, kid. Time to work. Okay, that was the story. I'm happy that I finally got to it and also got to be the first story I read live. I hope you all liked it. Alright, let's catch up to the chat. Lone Wolf. Hey Queen, I figured I'd drop by and say hello. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you too, Lone Wolf. Glad to have you here. Hope you enjoyed it. Doing well, working on a video on homework for school. Oh, that's nice. Good luck with your homework. I needed to head off now, Queen. Oh, I needed to get back to work. It was nice hanging out with you and listening to your story. Seeing you soon. Yeah, I hope to see you too soon as well. I hope everything worked out, so yeah. Spookaria, still here, just lurking and listening. Good to see an update. I hope writing is going well. I need to head out. You're doing amazing, PQ. Thank you, Spooks. That's really kind of you. I'm really enjoying this and it's going well. So I'm glad you all like it. September, I'm lurking whilst I do chores. Ah, good luck. I hope this is, nice to listen to in the background. Madam Raven. Oh, hi! Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you here. I hope you're enjoying the stream. Hope you're doing well, by the way. Sounds amazing. Oh, thank you, Miss. Thank you, Madam Raven. That's really nice of you. So, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the story. If people are still here, we can, chit-chat a little. Yeah, again, I hope everyone is doing well. I am. Yeah. Currently also been working on a couple of other hobbies of mine, one of them being cosplay. I think I mentioned that somewhere in tweets. I'm taking that also a little bit more seriously right now, since I've been asked by an esports team to do some work for them once in a while, which is a big compliment to me. So that's kind of why I'm taking cosplay also a little bit more seriously. So I guess that, along with now narrating, are going to be my, main hobbies and things that I'll be doing online. A part of me thinks it's a little sad that I can't show you what I've been working on, because that would mean showing off my face, even though I'm very proud of it as well. Last convention I went to in the Netherlands, I even got a couple of people asking me to do wig commissions because they look that good. I've been practicing that the last couple of months, last year, doing, cosplays of certain characters that are not very popular. I don't want to say popular, but people don't wish to cosplay them as the designs are too hard or the wigs are not being sold. Which makes it, a fun project to take it on. Oh, okay, nobody's doing this character because they think it's too hard. I can try it. And I've been learning a lot about wig styling and hair and stuff like that. Even got my own sewing machine a while ago. So I'm now making my own clothes and cosplays, which is really cool. I do think I can show the t-shirt I made a while ago, which is more of a pastel goth kind of look. I'm not much of a pastel goth myself. I'm a steampunker, for those who don't know. But it's fun. It's fun to make stuff yourself. It looks good, and it gives you the really good feeling of, oh, look at that. I made it myself. Look, it gives a really nice feeling if you look at it. But yeah, the fun thing was is I actually bought a skirt from Alibaba, that Chinese site that anyone can sell their stuff on. And I saw this skirt. I thought it was a mini skirt that would come around my knees. Turns out it was one that came to my ankles, and it was a size too big for me, so I couldn't wear it. So what did I do? Cut it up and make a t-shirt out of it, because that's what you do if it has a nice fabric. I didn't felt like selling it, so I made something completely new out of it, and that's fun. Just taking a piece of fabric and think, yes, you'll be a nice t-shirt. Also, great thing what you can do if you learn how to sew behind a sewing machine, you can put pockets into your pants. You know how good that feeling is when you can put pockets in your own pants or in cosplay pants, because cosplays never have pockets, and pockets from women are just too small to even put your phone into. Maybe your lipstick, but not your phone. It will stick out halfway. So yeah, I learned how to do that in the meantime. What else is new? What else new have I been doing? Oh, yeah. Don't know if I have told you guys about it, but I'm picking up ballet again as well on the Saturdays. So that's fun. Something I used to do a long time ago. Eventually stopped because it got in the way with homework. And now that I am actually working, I decided to pick it up again. It's really nice to be, able to do some sports and dance again. So yeah, that's also a thing. Oh, hey! Enlightenment World United. Good to see you here. I hope you're having fun. I don't know if you saw the stream or listened to the story. If you missed it by accident, you can scroll back. I'm going to put this public so anyone can watch it back if they like. Also, I really think I'm going to like live streaming because I can talk with you guys while I'm narrating, or at least before and after, and somewhere in the middle if it has multiple parts like this story. So that's nice. I am going to scroll back up so you guys can, for the people who haven't listened to the narration or just came in, this is the title of the story I just narrated by Pine Moon Poet. Check that out if you like. It's about the Egyptian crocodile god Sobek. If you have watched Moon Knight, you probably know a little bit about the Egyptian gods. I've watched the series, and by far it's one of my favorite series from Marvel. I'm a big Marvel fan, so this made me really happy because I already knew about Moon Knight. And a lot of people seem to, say that it's a bit like Batman. I'd say not at all. I don't know, it's a fun thing to do that people say, oh yeah, well this character from DC is a lot like this character from Marvel and the other way around. I see posts popping up like that once in a while. Because yeah, they did sometimes look at each other's comics and make something similar. But then the other writer would know about it. So it's not exactly stealing, I'd say. Moon Knight is a whole other story of its own. It's really nice to see the main character have DID. For the people who don't know that, it's when you have multiple personality disorder. Or, I think, no, did I say it correctly? I don't know. It's not being schizophrenic, because when you're schizophrenic, you see people that are not there. On the other hand, when you have multiple personality disorder, there are multiple people in one body. Sometimes they become more. Then it starts off with just one person, and a second and a third comes in. And from what I have learned, this can be through trauma. So that's interesting, and of course very understandable if you know the character. And that's what made it such an interesting series to me. I know I'm just rambling about Marvel right now. But also, because I have a big hyperfixation of the old Egypt, I really enjoyed it, seeing gods back. Because I was, of course, thinking, oh, we're going to see Anubis, at least Anubis, because that's everyone's favorite. And if they're gonna call him the god of death, which he isn't, by the way, I'm gonna quit watching the series. I had no such thing. I heard no such thing, which is great, because I always have to tell people, like, oh, yeah, well, he isn't the god of death, or anything like that. To be honest, the only god of death, literal death, not the underworld, I know is Hell from Nordic mythology. But yeah, they often call Anubis that, but he's actually the god of mummification, while as Osiris is the god of the underworld. Yeah, and Sobek, if I'm correctly, is the crocodile that eats the hearts, basically. So what happens in the underworld is that your heart gets weighted against a feather. Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this. It gets weighted against a feather. If it's, the feather is heavier, I think that was it, your heart gets eaten. No, if the heart is heavier than the feather, then it gets eaten by Sobek. Great, huh? That waiting for you in the afterlife. How did you die? My heart was eaten by a crocodile. Oh, nice. If it's lighter than the feather, then you get your path into the underworld. And you have, a path to the afterlife. So yeah, that was something that they believed back in the day. Really nice. And well, nice. It's not nice if your heart gets eaten by a crocodile. Thomas. But yeah, that's what they believed back in the day. And there are more stories that I could tell about the old Egypt and about the mummification progress and the process. I hope I say that correctly. And all other mythology kind of stories from Egyptian mythology. I even creeped one of my friends out, which was great. Probably my favorite story to tell about Egyptian mythology is the story about Osiris and how he became the god of the underworld. I told this to my friends, one of my best online friends, by the way, while we were watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, if you know JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the third arc or season with Jotaro, it takes place in Egypt. And I was absolutely stunned about how much the writer of the manga did his research on the, the stance and at least how he used the Egyptian gods for his stance and how much he researched on them. Especially the one from Osiris. Now, I won't give any spoilers to the anime. It's pretty good. I would definitely watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure if I were you. Stone Ocean just got his second part. Still have to sit down to watch it, but it's really good. It's a fun anime. It really is. You don't go in with any exceptions. It's just random everything. But that's what makes it so fun. Twitch is good. Oh, that's nice to hear. Yeah. So, Enlightenment, I am planning on eventually doing some stuff on Twitch. Probably going to start with doing horror gameplays, so if you guys have any requests on what I should play, let me know. My first thought was to do BioShock, because I got all 3 of the games. I'm also the crazy person who buys their favorite game for multiple platforms. So I have it for the PlayStation 3. The collector's editions, yeah. Very proud of owning the art books. They're so pretty. On the computer. And I also now own it on the Switch. I know, I shouldn't, but there's just something of, oh, this is one of my favorite games. I wish to be able to play it on any time, at any possible moment. I do that with Journey as well. Also got that for the PlayStation, which was one of those packs with 3 games in it, so that game company has made multiple really good games, starting off with Flow, Flower and Journey, which was a 3-pack. And they now have made Sky as well, which is more well known at the moment. It's really nice. I still have to play it because it's a multiplayer game, and I'm trying to see if one of my friends would like to play it with me, because you know that would be really nice. But yeah, it's something dumb that I do by paying more money for my favorite game. I shouldn't, but I like it. By the way, Journey is also an amazing game. It takes place also in a sort of desert-like, landscape with ancient ruins everywhere. The game knows to be able to tell a story without talking, and I like how that game company does that in their games by just being able to tell a story without any of the characters having a conversation. Just showing you. Not telling, showing. That's an art of its own. Besides the amazing music on the background. If you have ever listened to Narrations or any of the other tracks, you know how good it is. And I can't sweat that enough. It's amazing. But also thinking of getting Man of Medan in a bit, because I heard a lot of good things about it. Also my co-workers thought it was a really good game I should try, so I'm definitely going to do that. But if you guys have any requests, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to continue narrating here. The next time I'm live, I'm either planning to do not Pegasus Device, the other one. Good God, what was Rainbow Factory. I was able to talk with the writer a while ago, and they got me permission for it. For both Rainbow Factory and the Pegasus Device. For the people who don't know the stories, they're basically horror stories about My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I used to watch the show, it's good. As much as people say, bronies, terrible people. You guys love to watch a kids show. No, it's actually good, and there are multiple parts in the original series that are pretty grimace. Yes, loss for words. But it can get a little dark at some points, and there are enough cartoons because of that reason that I still like and enjoy. Probably one that I rewatch the most being Over the Garden Wall. Usually around fall I rewatch it because it's really nice and good. More comments. September said, Egyptian mythology, one of my areas of study in mythological history. Oh, that's cool, man. That's really cool. Oh, I wish I could study all of that. A fun thing about me, I actually planned on becoming an archaeologist when I, was still a kid. It's, one of those dreams that you have as a kid from, this would be the perfect job to have. Well, some people wanted to, be with the police or a fireman. I thought that archaeology was amazing because like I said, I love mythology really much, and I usually still do, by the way, cut out pieces out of the newspaper if they found something new wherever it is in Egypt, Greece, even here in my own country, because it's so fun. It's, to read when they found something new. Oh hey, Gamma! Good to see you! Nice to see you here. Sorry, I have already finished narrating the story, so you might have to catch up on it. I will make the thing public, like I said a bit back. Yeah. So you can listen to the story again with all of my weird mishaps and, fun talking. And rambling about stuff that I enjoy and like, which currently is the old Egypt and its mythology, because, hey, people have something to hyperfixate on. What did you say? It is an art indeed. I don't remember what I said. What was art? Oh, yeah. I was talking about Journey, that it was an art of its own. Then I may assume that you have played the game as well, which is really cool. I still love it. It's still one of my most favorite games out there. So I'm very curious to how Sky is going to be. But yeah, I think I'm going to end the stream here. It's 6:10 in the afternoon. So I wouldn't be too surprised if dinner was getting served around this time. I'm hungry, that's it. I want to thank everyone for coming to the stream. It's really nice to, see you all come here, because this was something I really wanted to do in a while, and now that my Vtube model is finished, I can. So, yeah, thanks. Thank you all. Gamma, it's okay, I catch up with it after. Just made sure to stop by. Things look amazing. That's really nice of you. I'm actually really glad that you all, enjoy it. Yeah, I'll be doing this more in the future. So yeah, if you have any requests on stories or books, because I'm also going to narrate, books in the future, let me know. I'm currently looking over at my bookcase, and you can't see it, but it's right there. There. Yes, I'm going to stop the stream right now. I don't know what the hotkey was again, but I'll figure it out. Oh wait, I can just pull up the Streamlabs. Yes. Yeah. Thank you all for coming to the stream again. I'm really bad at closing it off. Yeah, I hope you guys come back again with the next stream, whether it is that I'm going to narrate a pony pasta story or I'm going to narrate a book. Let me guys know what you like.